Vyasam Vasishtanaptaram Shaktre Pautramakalmasham Parasharatmajam Vande Sukatatam Taponidhim Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahmanidhaye Vasishtaya Namo Namaha Om Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayam Udirayet Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So we have seen in Vana Parva, the Pandavas, having been deceitfully defeated in the game of dice by Shakuni and his team of Kauravas, are sent into exile into the forest. 12 years in the forest, 1 year incognito, not to be discovered by anybody. So 13 years. And then they can come back and reclaim their kingdom. This is the agreement. And Yudhishthira, being the son of Dharma, is so true, so just, that he stays in spite of extreme, severe criticism by Bhima, by Draupadi and others. He still sticks to Dharma. And then, as per Vyasa Maharshi's guidance, Arjuna goes off towards the Himalayas to do austere tapas, to gain all the celestial weapons. So he impresses Shiva himself and gains Pashupatastra. And then he goes to Indraloka, Devaloka. And there he gains so many celestial weapons. In the meantime, in Bhuloka, or earth, the other Pandavas, including Draupadi, are ill at ease. They sorely miss Arjuna. And Rishi Narada appears there, the wonderful Rishi Narada. So he says, see, this is the time for you to go on a Tirtha Yatra. Now, Tirtha Yatra is a wonderful phenomenon. In India, many people undertake Tirtha Yatra, holy journeys. They are undertaken many modern people think all this is superstition. But during the course of this talk, we will be looking at Tirtha Yatra, how it helps us evolve as a person, helps us dissolve our papa, how it helps us move towards dharma, how it helps us empathize not just with other fellow human beings, but other fellow beings that share this planet. You will see all this and more. So Rishi Narada advises them to go on a Tirtha Yatra. He explains how Bhishma, the grandfather of the Pandavas and the Kauravas, how he learnt about Tirtha, the importance of Tirtha Yatra, from Rishi Pulastya. Rishi Pulastya narrates so many aspects, so many tirthas, holy places of worship all over the globe, especially in India. And then there arrives Rishi Lomasa. Rishi Lomasa has been sent by Indra himself from Devaloka. So there Indra and Arjuna request Rishi Lomasa to guide the other Pandavas, including Draupadi, to undertake the Tirtha Yatra. And Tirtha Yatras are supposed to be extremely tough, not like these days, where you can jet set and land on a helicopter. Using a helicopter, you can just land, do something, get back home. So that was not the way it was. It used to include a lot of difficulties. Even now, if one wishes to go on a Tirtha Yatra to the great Villingiri mountains, 7 hills, if you need to climb, most people don't make it to the top. They actually just come back because it's tough. And plus, you are supposed to purify your body and mind before you undertake the Tirtha Yatra, as well as during the Tirtha Yatra, to get the full benefit of the Tirtha Yatra. The body is purified by earthly vows. Vow means vrata. So using vratas, you are supposed to purify the body. A simple vrata is Ekadashi. You might have heard Ekadashi. So the whole day during Ekadashi, you fast, and you break your fast after your evening prayers or during the night, and you don't have grains. Like that, there are many holy vratas. They purify the body and hence make them sensitive to subtle energies in the environment that we can drink in. And you purify the mind with spiritual vows, again vratas, like Mauna. Mauna Vrata is to purify the mind. That helps us introspect, go deeper within ourselves, understand our limitations, give us strength to face those limitations and overcome them. Likewise, there are vratas. People take a vrata that I should not speak ill about others. That's a spiritual vrata. That's a vrata for the mind, to purify the mind. So speaking ill of others comes automatically to many people. With this vrata, you take great care not to speak ill of any person, not slander anybody. Through this process, you become more aware of the deeper workings of the mind, and hence you gain a greater control over the mind and can direct its processes. So it is like a mental exercise. So physical exercise and mental exercise makes you more powerful, strong, and gives you greater control over the muscles of your body and the muscles of your mind. So these vratas are advocated, and Rishi Lomasa takes up the role of guide Pandavas throughout the Tirtha Yatra. So the Pandavas, except Arjuna, become ready to undertake the Tirtha Yatra. And they have a huge retinue of followers. So Rishi Lomasa advises them that it's not feasible to take up this bigger retinue of followers during the Tirtha Yatra. We might encounter so many dangers. There will be cold, wind. We will be exposed to the elements. There will be no comfort. It's worse than in the forest, because at least in the forest you are not moving about. You are in one place. But a Tirtha Yatra, you are constantly on the move. You may not get food. You may not find shelter. You might be exposed to the elements. You might be exposed to wild animals, Rakshasas. And hence Raja Yudhishthira humbly requests the people that he is supporting, those who depend especially on cooked food. He asks them to go approach Dhritarashtra, Vichitravirya's son. And he says that if you request, the Raja will support you, because that is Raja Dharma, to support the people that come to him. If he does not support you, don't worry. Go to my father-in-law, Drupada, and he will support you. So many people leave, though very unwillingly and sad at heart. but still they cannot accompany the Pandavas on their Tirtha Yatra. But some people stay on. In fact, some rishis come who say, by ourselves we would not be able to undertake the Tirtha Yatra. But now, in your company and under your protection, you will be able to. And Rishi Lomasa possesses many siddhis. Siddhis, the primary siddhis, are considered ashta. That means 8 mahasiddhis. There are many lower order siddhis. But siddhis are basically a certain state of perfection with respect to powers. So you possess certain powers. Powers over nature, powers over your body, powers over your mind, powers over your intellect. So there are various degrees and various kinds of siddhis. Rishi Lomasa possesses many siddhis, and hence he is directed by Indra, the great Devendra, to help keep the Pandavas safe during their Tirtha Yatra. And the Tirtha Yatra is also bound to provide solace to the aching hearts of the Pandavas and Draupadi. So they start out on a specified date and time. And en route, Rishi Lomasa gives them the significance of each tirtha. So each tirtha they go to, in some tirthas they have to fast for 3 days, in some tirthas 6 days, in some tirtha 1 day, in some tirtha they should do this, in some tirtha they should do that, they should not do this, they should do that. And basically it's meant to make them open and receptive to the energies of that place. So each tirtha is associated with some tapasya, some form of tapas, austerity. And the energies are there. But a person wishing to get benefited by the energies needs to be open and receptive. And being open and receptive is not a very easy thing. Let me be open-minded. But how many of us are? How many of us are able to detect when we are closed and hence rectify it at that moment? So it requires tremendous detachment to be able to observe this constantly and then correct our course as we move ahead. So towards that there are so many rules and injunctions towards visiting the tirtha. And not anybody can approach a tirtha. People who are unclean, people who have sinned tremendously, they all cannot approach a tirtha. One should be blessed already to be able to undertake a tirtha. So they went their way, and it's a wonderful time. Rishi Lomasa is extremely knowledgeable and is able to clear so many of their doubts. And one by one he narrates the significance of each of the tirthas, and he also narrates further some exceptional stories about those tirthas. For example, in one tirtha, which is related to Agastya Muni, great Agastya. Once on a time, there were 2 Asura brothers. Asura means opposite of Sura. Suras are the Devas. It's very interesting to note that the Devas are Sattvika, Asuras are Rajasika, and Rakshasas are Tamasika. So the Asuras, Ilvala and Vatapi, these are 2 brothers. They conduct a yajna, and Ilvala wants the Brahmana Rishi who is officiating the yajna to give him a child like Indra. Now the Brahmana Rishi does not agree, because Ilvala is an asura and he does not deserve such a child. Now these things are possible. So Ilvala gets angry, and Ilvala and Vatapi have these powers of illusion. They are asuras, great asuras. Have these powers of illusion by which they start devouring Brahmana rishis, Brahmanas. So they generally invite Brahmanas to their houses. Vatapi converts himself into a ram. Now in those times, Brahmanas also used to eat meat and drink wine. So they used to convert themselves into, this Vatapi used to convert himself into a ram, and he would be cut up, his meat would be prepared and served to the Brahmana. The Brahmana would eat it up, and Ilvala had this power by which he could, if he calls out a particular person, even if the person be in Yamaloka, still he would have to appear in flesh and blood, that is embodied back again, right in front of him. So he had this power, he had this siddhi. So Ilvala does that, and Vatapi tears open the Brahmana's stomach and comes out, thereby killing them. Like this, this gory episode happens so many times, and everybody is frightened. Now, simultaneously, Agastya Muni, in his travels, he finds his ancestors hanging upside down in a pit, suffering tremendously. And they request him to have a child so that their suffering can be nullified. Because a child, a putra or a putri, is considered very, very important. That keeps up the race, and hence that is supposed to benefit the ancestors for 7 generations up and also 7 generations down. So Agastya Muni agrees. He looks around for a bride suited to his stature. He is a rishi, a great tapasvi. He cannot just like that marry anybody. You need there is something called appropriate match. It just cannot be anybody. There has to be an appropriate match. And he looks around and he does not find anybody. So he creates Lopamudra out of his own powers and embeds the Lopamudra. There is a king of Vidarbha who is doing tapas to get a child. And then the queen delivers Lopamudra. Lopamudra is extremely beautiful. She reaches puberty and the king is looking around for an appropriate match, and Rishi Agastya decides it's time, and he appears in the court of the king of Vidarbha, asking the hand of Lopamudra. Now the king does not want to give his only daughter, his wonderful child, to a rishi of such awesomeness. Agastya Muni is awesome. His energy is so fierce that people cannot approach him. But the king is very much aware of the strength and power of Agastya Muni. And he does not want the curse of such a rishi. And hence, Lopamudra is wedded to Agastya Muni out of her own choice. Agastya Muni asks her to leave away all the costly ornaments, all the paraphernalia, and she is just clad in barks, and takes care of Agastya Muni. He engages in severe tapas, and she also engages in tapas. A long time passes by, and finally Agastya Muni is gratified with his wife. She is so sincere, devoted, unassuming. She has not asked for anything from Agastya Muni, and hence he is gratified. Finally he says, let us have a child. She requests Agastya Muni that all these years it's okay, but for a child I would like it to happen in a palace like my father's, and you should not be dressed like this. It has to have its own way, not like tapas. Let it not be so. And Agastya is so satisfied with his wife that he agrees. But he says, how can a poor man like me, a poor Brahmana, Rishi like me, get all the things that you want? For which Ropamudra says, you have so many powers. Agastya says, that is so, but I don't want to waste so much of tapas shakti in such temporary things. Those are meant for higher things, for the good of the world, not for such ephemeral joys and pleasures of the world. So tell me something which does not diminish my tapas shakti. So she says, why don't you go ask these as bhiksha of a king? So he goes. He goes to one kingdom. There, the king shows the bank balance, the accounts book, and asks Agastya to audit it. There is income, there is expenditure. If you find anything extra, please do take it. Agastya finds that it tallies, and hence he cannot be the one who takes away someone else's money, someone else's wealth that would be used for the good of others. So it tallies, the account book tallies, and he says, okay, let's go to another place. So they both, the king accompanies Agastya and they go to another king. That king as well shows the account book, and the income and expenditure tallies. They go to the third king. That king is very wealthy. So Agastya is hopeful. But the same thing repeats itself. That king also shows the accounts book, and the income of the king and the expenditure of the king tallies. Now they all decide to approach Ilvala or Asura because he is extremely rich. So they go to Ilvala. Now on seeing Agastya, now everybody knows about Ilvala and what he does to Brahmanas. But Agastya is cool and confident. When you become, nothing agitates you. It's okay. So Agastya goes there. Ilvala, as always, serves him food, the meat of a ram. And Agastya knows this. So he just digests Vatapi. Ilvala shouts, Vatapi, come out! Nothing happens. Vatapi, come out! Nothing happens. All that happens is a big belch. Not a big belch, a roar of a belch coming out of Agastya's mouth. And Agastya says, Vatapi is digested. Ilvala is sorry. Now he understands Agastya's power and he does not want to mess with Agastya. So Ilvala says, whatever I had in mind to give to you, can you say? And Agastya clearly knows. So he says, all this is to be given away. And when Ilvala checks with his ministers, it is so. In fact, a chariot made of gold is to be given away. Now Asura, Rajas, he wants to possess, to hoard, not to give away. Sattvika people give away happily. Rajasika people give away not so happy. They want to hoard. If something comes in, they are happy. If some expenditure, no, they are not happy. So Ilvala does not want to give away, but this is Agastya. So he gives away, though grudgingly, but he cannot do anything about it. So Agastya goes back and sires a son on Lopamutra, and he retires to the forest. So all this is narrated by the great Rishi Lomasa. Then the Pandavas and Draupadi again went their way, and Rishi Lomasa leads them to Tirtha after Tirtha. They go to so many Tirthas, and in one of the Tirthas, which is dedicated to Rama, the great Rama. Who? The Bhargava Rama, not Dasaratha Rama. Dasaratha Rama is different from the Bhargava Rama. Bhargava Rama in the line of Bhrigu is Parashurama. So there Rishi Lomasa narrates the encounter between Bhargava Rama and Dasharatha Rama. So Bhargava Rama has exterminated so many Kshatriyas. Why? Because his father Jamadagni if you look at Rama, the character of Bhargava Rama, he is a wonderful being, an avatara of Lord Vishnu. Jamadagni marries Renuka, and they have children, 4 boys, and the 5th one is Parashurama, or simply called Rama. Rama means one who attracts you, who delights you. Delighter. See, for example, now so many people are bored because they cannot delight in their own self. That's why Dasharatha Rama is also called Atma Rama, one who delights within himself, in his own Atma. So delightful, a delightful being is called Rama, Ramyate. So Rama, even Bhargava Rama is a delightful person, but he is also exceptionally powerful. It so happens, once on a time, there is the Haihaya clan, Haihayas, of which Kartavirya Arjuna, the Arjuna who is Kartavirya. So Kartavirya has so many sons. He is so powerful. He is called the 1,000-armed. He has 1,000 arms, and nobody can defeat him. It's said of him that he even defeated Ravana. So powerful. So Kartavirya Arjuna, he has defeated everybody on earth, and he is the lord of the earth. And hence he has grown arrogant. His sons have grown arrogant. Kartavirya Arjuna goes everywhere, and he treats everybody condescendingly. He does not respect Brahmanas, he does not respect Rishis, he does not respect the Devas, he does not respect anybody because he is so super powerful. And hence he has to be taught a lesson. So destiny arranges this. It's decided that Bhargava Rama would do away with him. So what happens? Actually, Jamadagni, who's Rama's father, his father has his wife, and Bhrigu, who is the father, great grandfather, appears there, blesses the marriage, and the wedded wife serves her husband's father, who is Bhrigu, very faithfully. And hence Bhrigu is happy. Bhrigu says, ask for a boon. And the wife says, let I and my mother have sons, exceptional sons. So Bhrigu says, so be it. So on a particular day, I have prepared this payasam. So you both have it. But you should, tie the knot to a peepal tree. That is, your mother should tie the knot to a arasamaram. Arasamaram is peepal tree. And you should tie the knot to a fig tree, Ashwatha. So Ashwatha is is associated with spiritual sciences. It's extremely religious, tree. While Arasamaram is supposed to be a ruling tree, kingly tree. As per the poor advice of her mother, they exchange it. And Bhrigu comes to know of this. And this lady asks for his pardon. Bhrigu says, what I had given you, you have done misused it. So you will have a son who's exceptionally, Rajasic, a ruler of men, Kshatriya. And your mother will have a saint of a man. Now this lady does not want it because her husband is a rishi. She does not want a Kshatriya to be born to her. What will the world think of her? So she begs of him that let her son be a very pious person. Let the son of that son be a warrior, awesome warrior. And Bhrigu says, so be it. And hence she gives birth to Jamadagni. And Jamadagni is a very, very pious person. Though he is a master of all the sciences, including the science of war and weapons. He is a master. Now once on a time, the sons of Kartavirya-Arjuna come to the ashrama, the kutira of Jamadagni. While he is meditating, he is in a penance. Though he can defend himself, they defeat him and kill him. And that's because, they feel slighted by Renuka, the mother of Rama, Bhargava Rama, Parshurama. That's because of their arrogance. And plus their time has come. It's all destiny. It's destined to happen. The devotion of Bhargava Rama is so high. On seeing his father in that state, he flies into a rage. He's so wrathful. His devotion is such to his father that earlier his father asks Rama to behead Renuka, Rama's mother. And without a single question, Bhargava Rama beheads his mother. For which Jamadagni is happy and he tells him to ask a boon. For which Rama says, bring my mother back to life. And also other brothers, let them be their proper self. And Jamadagni is happily gives that boon. So that's how much devoted Bhargava Rama is to Jamadagni. And on seeing him dead, he flies into a rage and decides that he will exterminate the Kshatriyas, the high-handed, haughty, arrogant Kshatriyas of the entire world. So multiple times he kills all the Kshatriyas. He defeats Kartavirya-Arjuna and his sons. He kills them. He in fact kills all the Kshatriyas of the earth. And the blood is accumulated in 5 pools near Kurukshetra. And that becomes the holy Tirtha Samanta Panchaka. Their ancestors, there is Jamadagni's father is Richika, the son of Bhrigu Maharshi. So Richika tells Bhargava Rama, finally let it end here. Let there be no more war. And Bhargava Rama asks for a boon. that let this place become a holy tirtha. And Richika grants it, so be it. Apdiye agatum. So be it. This is in Tamil. Agatum. Apdiye agatum. So be it. Tatastu. And that becomes the holy tirtha, Samanta Panchaka. So Bhargava Rama, after this, retires to the Mahendragiri to do tapas. Just before that, he is not satisfied. His energies are still on. He is angry. He is an angry young man. Maybe not so young. So he hears about the birth of the great Rama, the Madhyada Purusha, Purushottama, the Dasharatha Rama, and he goes there. Now Dasharatha knows Parashurama is approaching his kingdom, and he sends his son Rama to receive him honorably. On seeing Rama, Parashurama insults Rama, for which Rama flies into a rage. And the rage is all consuming. It consumes the entire world, almost. It consumes all the energy of Parashurama. And hence Parashurama loses all his energy and splendor. And then he asks for forgiveness, because both are avatars of Vishnu. But Bhargava Rama's time has come, while Dasharatha Rama is yet to begin the purpose of his existence. So Bhargava Rama asks for forgiveness, and then it is suggested to him that he go and do tapas in Mahendragiri, Mahendra Parvat. So he does awesome tapas there and regains his powers in the tirtha that the Pandavas spent time in. So this is the story of the encounter between Bhargava Rama or Parashurama and Dasharatha Rama, both avatars of Vishnu himself. Very, very interesting aspects. When we hear these stories, if we listen to them with an open heart, then we will see, we will be transported to a completely different realm altogether. It elevates our spirit, gives us a whole new vision of our life, of life itself. And that is extremely transformative. That transformation should reach everybody. But for us now, we are limited so much by our logical intellect that we question these things. Questioning is not a problem, but we question with a closed mind. There are different ways of questioning. You can question hotly, hey, is this true? But this sort of a questioning will not yield answers. Questioning, a sense of inquiry, has to be sincere and has to be open-minded. Is this true? This sort of a questioning yields answers over a period of time. Plus, we should also be ready for the answers. That's where personal purification, Shuddhi, we talked about this earlier. So, of the body and the mind through vratas have been prescribed by the rishis for everybody, so that we become open-minded, and when we ask a question, it is answered, and we are capable enough to receive those answers. No? That is the key thing. We should be capable enough to receive those answers. Otherwise, there are answers, but we just cannot receive it. So now, sadly, so many people are lost in a cynical attitude that they cannot receive answers. No? Hard nuts to crack. and that's okay, not a problem. All this Rishi Lomasa does not discuss. Maybe he discussed, I don't know. So Rishi Lomasa again takes them and they go to various places, and there is this place of Indra, the great Indra. No. So with Indra, once on a time, Rishi Lomasa narrates, the great Vritrasura was ruling all the three worlds, and he was a big torture. He was an asura. And Indra could not defeat him. And hence the gods approached Brahma. And Brahma directed them to Dadichi. Sage Dadichi readily gave up his body so that out of his bones could be made the Vajrayudha, the great Vajra. So Vajrayudha was made by Twashtri, the architect, celestial architect. And using Vajrayudha, Indra could defeat Vritra. But even on hurling the Vajrayudha and defeating Vritra, Indra was confounded, confused. He was thinking that Vritra is pursuing him, and hence he went and hid inside the lake, Manasarovara. He hid there. He became minute and hid in the stamen of a lotus under the lake, Manasa. Now, without Indra, the Devas went on fighting with the Danavas, Vritrasura's army, Demon army. And the Danavas plunged into the nether regions. They plunged inside the sea of Varuna, of whose lord is Varuna. And from there, they started attacking the rishis, the brahmanas, everybody. So at night, they would come out, destroy the rishis, and morning people would find the Brahma rishis, belonging to various orders, all completely emaciated and drained of their life energy. This kept on happening, and nobody could discover who's doing this. These were being done by the Danavas, Kalakeyas. And hence, finally the rishis, the gods, approached Brahma. And Brahma said, there is Rishi Agastya. He will be able to do something for you. So they humbly approached Agastya Muni. And Agastya Muni, on reaching the ocean, where the Kalakeyas were hidden, he just gulped up the entire ocean. And hence the Kalakeyas were exposed, and the gods defeated them, killed many of the asuras, the Kalakeyas. And when the gods returned victorious, they requested Agastya to please release the waters into the ocean. But Agastya simply said, no, it's been digested. Oh. The waters of the entire ocean gulped up by sage Agastya and digested. Now, where do we go for water? They again represented this to Brahma, and Brahmaji said it will take some time for the waters of the earth to be replenished. So till then, we will have to wait. And Rishi Agastya, it so happened, again, Rishi Agastya is so much of a phenomenon. In fact, in the southern part of India, especially Tamil Nadu, we have the Siddha tradition. And Rishi Agastya stands at the foremost of the Siddha tradition. There is Rishi Tirumular, Gorakar, Machamuni, so many, Bhoga, so many Siddhas. And Agastya is at the forefront of those Siddhas. So Rishi Agastya, it so happens that Vindhyachala, Vindhya mountains, find the sun going around Mount Meru. And in its arrogance, Vindhya says, hey sun, hey Surya, you go around Meru, why don't you go around me as well? The sun says, no, this path has been chosen for me by the creators of the universe itself. Now how can I not follow my dharma? My dharma is this, and hence I do it. Vindhyachala grows haughty, and he starts growing up to obstruct the path of the sun. So Rishi Agastya is tasked with stunting the growth of Vindhya. So he crosses Vindhya and requests Vindhya that until I return back from the south, I'm going from north to south, until I return back, please stay as you are. Vindhya gives his word, so be it. Agastya goes to the south along with Lopamudra and does not return. So that's how the pride of Vindhyachala. Achala means unmovable. Arunachala of Tiruvannamalai. Arunachala, unmovable. So that's generally in Sanskrita, any mountain is called Achala. Achala. So like these many stories are narrated by Rishi Lomasa all through the Tirtha Yatra. And then they reach the sacred Tirtha of Bhagiratha, the Rishi, the Raja Rishi, Bhagiratha, who brought down the celestial Ganga onto the earth. And finally Ganga fills up the oceans, which were dried up by Agastya Muni in another age. That's an amazing incident where there is this King Sagara who has 2 wives, but he has no children. So he does immense tapasya, concentrating on the great Shiva, and Shiva gives him a boon. So a son, Asamanjas, is born to one of his wives, and 60,000 sons, all extremely fierce warriors, are born to another wife. Now Sagara wants to conduct the horse sacrifice, the Ashvamedha Yajna. The horse, wherever it goes, that land, if it is not challenged, then it belongs to the person conducting, the Yajamana of the Ashvamedha Yajna, the person conducting the horse sacrifice. So his sons conquer all this land, and one fine day they find their horse has disappeared. They report this to Sagara. He says, you fools, what have you done? Go find the horse and let me complete my yajna, because the yajna should not be half done. It should be completed. So they go dig up the earth, they cause immense damage to the earth. And finally they find, in a nether region, in a cavern, they find his horse, their horse, wandering freely. This is the doing of Indra. So wandering freely. And there the great Kapila is meditating. These 60,000 sons of Sagara, of little sense, disturb Kapila. And Kapila, when he opens his eyes, the power is so much that it reduces them to ashes. Now Asamanjas has a son. Asamanjas is driven away by Sagara because there is a complaint by people against him that he drowns small children. Actually, it is not so. Asamanjas does not want to be a king. So he does this so that his father banishes him. And that's what Sagara does. Now Asamanjas' son is Anshuman. So he is tasked with liberating the souls of the 60,000 sons of Sagara. Now Anshuman goes far and wide, and he discovers how they have been reduced to ashes by Kapila Muni. And the only way to liberate their souls is by, washing them in the celestial waters of Ganga. He is not able to achieve that task. Next comes Dilipa, his son. He is not able to do that. And after Dilipa comes Bhagiratha. Bhagiratha takes up tremendous tapasya. And Ganga finally appears to him and says, I will do what you want. Bhagiratha is very happy. But then Ganga lays a condition. I am a celestial river. Now my fall onto earth, the earth cannot bear. You will need to pray to Shiva to bear this great flow. So Bhagiratha does tapas on Shiva, and Shiva agrees. And the fall of Ganga, it's described, is so huge that earth will be shattered. But Shiva is such an awesome being that in his matted locks, in just one strand, Ganga loses her power. And hence she is locked up and her pride is broken. Then she realizes how great Shiva is. And after that realization, Shiva lets Ganga drip from one strand, drop by drop, onto earth. And it flows in 3 streams. And finally, it rejuvenates the oceans. And all these souls of the 60,000 sons of Sagara are liberated. And hence, Ganga is also called Bhagirathi, the daughter of Bhagiratha. And even now in India, oceans are called Sagara after this story. So the Pandavas are, have a wonderful time, and Rishi Lomasa takes them further. So we will see more stories to come. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.